This evening on the Rock Newman Show, Cuban jazz artist Alfredo Rodriguez showcases his new album, Tocororo, and talks about being mentored by music legend Quincy Jones. That's coming up right now on the Rock Newman Show. Welcome to the Rock Newman Show from the campus of historic Howard University, located in the nation's capital. I'm Rock Newman, and it is my desire to inspire you with personal stories of extraordinary achievement. Jazz musician Alfredo Rodriguez must have phenomenal talent to make his way from Cuba into the inner circle of the renowned composer Quincy Jones. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what Quincy has to say about Alfredo.
He's got it. Let's do whatever it takes, for him to go all the way with it. He understands that to express the emotion completely, you have to have the science and the craft behind you, and that comes from the work and you put into it. He's a great human being. That's why he practices 14 hours a day, and he's humble, open-minded, and I love that, I have 7 kids of my own, but he's like my son too.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Rock Newman Show today.
Thank you. Great honor for me to be here.
Well, we are absolutely honored to have you. There's so much music that we're going to talk about, and you've been gracious enough to say that you'll perform for us. So we can't wait for that. Before we go to the music, this is an interesting time that within the last 10 days. The President of the United States and his wife and children, they were in Cuba. They met with and talked big politics with Raul Castro, the leader of Cuba. They enjoyed a baseball game together. As an individual born in Cuba, most of your life you spent there. When you saw those images on the television, tell us how you felt.
I'm just hoping for the best. I think we've been so many years apart and far away, and we're very close.
Yeah.
So I always, the message that I want to express with my music is about unity and about being together, knowing where we're coming from and trying to help each other and share who we are. So I guess that is what I would like to happen between the two countries, United States and Cuba. And now that I've been living here in the United States, I feel for both countries, not just for my own country, which is Cuba. So I just hope for the best, and I hope this is just the beginning of a good relationship between United States and Cuba.
Okay. It made, knowing that I was going to talk to you, and I don't think it's any problem sharing your age. You're 30 years old.
I'm 30 years old.
30 years old.
Yeah.
So it was you were a teenager when there was an incident that just was top of the news here in the U.S. and around the world, and it involved a Cuban kid, Elian
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez.
Yeah.
So at the time you were 14 or so.
Yeah.
Were you aware that was going on at that time? And,
yeah.
And what do you remember about that?
Well, I remember everyone talking about that every day in Cuba.
Yeah.
That was really a big, issue. And I remember everything, they were talking about that all the time. I remember when Elian came here, tried to came here to the United States by water, as many Cubans have done.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, his mother died on the sea, and all the situation with his uncle, I think, here in the United States in Miami, and his father back in Cuba trying to get him back. I remember, I was a teenager, but I remember.
Yeah. Was it your sense then that the Cuban people were rooting for him to be able to stay in the United States where he'd make a new life, or rooting that the father would be able to get him and bring him back? Do you remember?
Well, when you mean Cuban people in Cuba or United States?
In Cuba, yeah.
In Cuba, I think, well, you know how we are human beings. I'm pretty sure that there were both kind of thoughts. But in my opinion, I think most of the people wanted him to be with his father, I guess, and that was what happened at the end.
Let's talk about Alfredo Rodriguez. I want you to go back. I've had some guests here who are like in their 70s, and I've asked them to go back and to retrace what their first memory was. What's one of the first things they remember as a very small child? I'd like for you to do that.
Well, I remember, you know, I was a very, very simple kid, just running the streets like all Cubans do and playing with my friends. Although I remember that a lot of the times I had to stay practicing the piano before going to play with my friends.
Okay, you said practicing the piano. When did you start?
I started at 6 years old, 7 years old, playing the piano, and at the school, 7, 8 years old.
Okay. Now, starting to play, was that because someone suggested or insisted that you do that?
Well,
did you have? Was it you that wanted to pursue that at such an early age?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to be a musician. I didn't want to be a pianist at first. I wanted to be a drummer. I remember my father playing music in our house and me trying to imitate the drums with anything I could get, you know, like trying to make sounds, like percussive sounds.
You want to give me a demonstration?
I will give it to you later, you know, because the piano is a percussive instrument, and I use it in that way a lot. I guess the percussion is something that I've been very attracted to since I was very young. And I guess that was what I decided to be a musician, because all the sounds that were around me, I wanted to, you know, find a language which could be better than just talking, to
find a language.
Yes, to find a language. I was in the need of that, I guess, and I found out with musical sounds when I well, as I said, my parents and, well, actually my father is a musician, he's a singer as well. Okay. So he had a band, and some of his musicians told him that I had good options to be a musician, because I was, you know, very interested in that.
So they were saying, so the members of his band were looking at you and saying, hey, this kid's a natural.
Exactly that, and they brought me to the Classical School of Music, and that was why I started at 7 years old. Because, you know, I went to, all of these kids goes to through this test, and they choose some kids to start studying classical music, and that was how I started.
So, and when you started, do you remember, did something strike you, and were you inspired to think that this is really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Was it something you were just exploring? How did it resonate with you?
As I said, you know, I knew that I wanted to be a musician since very young. I would say 4 or 5 years old, because everything that I wanted to do was related to music. But I didn't know I wanted to be a pianist. You know? So I started at 7 with the piano, having in mind that I was going to change at 10 years old to drums. But, you know, I was completely falling in love with the instrument, the piano, when I started playing the music. And I think, to answer your question, at first I was doing it because I love it and everything, but I think when I was like 12 or 13 years old, I realized that this is what I'm going to do for, you know, in my life, because I realized at that time that my parents didn't have to tell me anymore, you need to practice in order to make it. If you want to do this, you need to, you know, sacrifice a lot of things and just do what you love to do. And, you know, you sometimes need to tell your kids that they need to study and in order to make it in their lives. And I didn't need that anymore.
You said, I was falling in love. I was falling in love with the piano. What does that mean? How did that feel?
It's very difficult, because for me explaining that that feeling with words is it would be very difficult, and even more now that I'm just trying to talk with this broken English.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something.
But
Take your time, because that's such that's such a fascinating thing that at that age, 10, 11 years old, that you are able to articulate 20 years later, man, I was falling in love with it. And I guess, if I can help you along or something, it was like, what did it feel like?
I guess it's about feeling. I guess
Yeah.
it's something natural also that I felt with music since I heard. It's something that you just feel. It's very powerful, and it moves you, and it inspires you to do something for that.
And so that feeling, you feel that throughout your body, sort of your thought process. Do you feel as if there are times when you're connected to your instrument, you are connected there to the instrument,
Sure.
but it's not just you, the person, there's even a higher power that's involved?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the times, actually, when I see myself playing, I don't recognize sometimes myself. I guess I'm kind of a different person sometimes when I'm playing than when I'm talking or doing other things in my life. I guess I cannot transform it's me, but at the same time, some energy, but I guess it's positive because I enjoy a lot. So I just like the process, and I guess it's about energy, connection, and
Energy and connection. I want to take a break here so that our viewing audience can see you, and they can feel you and be connected to you
sounds good.
with what you do. You'll play for us?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. how long each day did you find yourself engaged in preparing for what you wanted to do for the rest of your life?
A lot. And I said that because I, since very young, I've been thinking of music a lot of the time during my day. Practicing with the instrument, I guess at that time I was, like 4 hours every day.
Every day.
But thinking about the music, which is practicing a lot, is the same as practicing for me. And I've been doing that thing, since that moment. And trying to relate. Well, the thing is, like, music is so powerful in my life that I just relate music with everything that I experience in my life. So I guess that is a way, that is a non-stop practice all the time with a connection between me and the music, even though if I am not with the piano. Because every sound that I hear on the streets, or water, or it can be like construction or some problem that I see, I just relate it, because movement or because anything, I just try to relate it. And talking is the same with talking. Improvising, what we're doing right now, improvising, which was the same that I was just doing the piano. Like sit and just play whatever you're feeling at the moment.
So 3.5 or 4 hours actually playing.
At that time.
But your reality when you were 14, 15, 16 years old growing was that music was upon you and in you, and you were about music like all the time.
And has been like that since that moment. It keeps growing up.
Still?
Yeah, still, yeah. It feels every day. For some reason, I just
was there
translate
a moment?
Everything.
Was there a moment in that journey, let's say like during your teenage years, where you felt a sense of confidence that you were good?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I never thought about that.
Are you good yet?
Again, for me, it's not about being good. It's about being happy.
Okay.
And I'm for sure very happy with what I do, and I feel very honest with what
You say you feel very honest?
Yes, about what I do. I just do what I love to do,
Okay.
and I am very happy. And I hope I keep in this way in my life, because it makes sense for me.
Tell us about how you came to be able to perform at a place far away from Cuba, where you were seen and actually judged. Quincy Jones was a judge at a competition that you were playing at. First of all, do you remember the process for how you were selected to play in that competition?
Yeah, I remember I was at the first year of the University of Classical Music, and it came this, I don't know how to call it, maybe application, something like that they wanted to include Cuban pianists in this festival competition. So I was one of the 2 pianists selected to go there. We sent it like demo. They requested like demo from different pianists, and they selected 2. I was one of them. And very fortunately for me, I was, because Claude Nobs, which was the president of the festival, the Montreuil's Festival, this was in Switzerland, and he used to do a lot of jam sessions at his house, and where I met Quincy was at his house, and he said to all of us, when I say all of us, is all the pianists that we were part of that competition, he said that Quincy Jones was coming, if we could play a song each for him.
Yeah.
Of course, we said yes. Yeah. And
stop for a moment.
Okay.
So here's a guy at the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland, and he tells you that you're getting ready to meet Quincy Jones. How did you feel at that moment?
To be honest with you, I always been very natural and spontaneous in those kind of moments. Even though if it's someone that I admire and I respect a lot, I always keep it in my way. I just love what I do.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
with the same, like equally for everyone. But I knew, that someone that I admired
you
so
kept
much.
your composure
Yeah,
because you're a cool jazz dude.
Oh no, not even that. It's just. I guess it's part of my personality.
Okay.
But I was very excited.
Yeah.
I was very excited
Okay.
that I was going to have that opportunity to play for Quincy Jones. And I remember I played one of my songs, and I remember also we had a great connection from the beginning. Me and Quincy.
Tell me about that connection.
Yeah. First of all, after that, Quincy came. I remember he came to me and he said that he liked it a lot. My point of view, what I was doing with the music, and that he wanted to get in keep in touch with me, and he wanted to help me in my career. And I was blown away at that moment when he told me that. Even though I knew that I was living in Cuba, and he is
Living
of course,
in the U.S., right?
living in the U.S., and I knew that it was going to be very difficult, and it was very difficult to create something together. That was in 2006.
2006.
And I came here to the United States in 2009.
Right.
So it was 3 years of analyzing and processing what could we do together, and it was very impossible for us to do. At that time, we couldn't do anything between Cuba and the United States.
Right.
Not like now that a lot of
Right.
friends from Cuba are coming and playing and sharing music.
And I want to go back to that 2006 time. So you have this great experience with Quincy Jones, one of the greatest of all times. You go back. He said he wants to work with you. I would think that would be pretty much any musician's dream. So you go back and you're dreaming about working with Quincy.
Well, I just took the occasion as a great experience in my life. I was going to have something very powerful and important for me to tell my friends, my family, that I had the opportunity to play for Quincy Jones' son, and I knew it was gonna be difficult. And sometimes, we go places, and it's the reality. Sometimes people tell you that they're going to do this and that, and nothing happens.
Don't do anything, right?
So. Everything changes when I went back to Cuba, because Adam Fell, my manager today, which is Quincy's manager, he wrote me an email saying that the same, Quincy gave him my information, and they were very interested in helping me. I knew that, I had to do something in order to make it happen.
So what I want to tap into is that time when you're back there with your family, and there is the possibility
of me defecting or going.
Was that a scary time for you?
Yeah, of course. I have to say, I'm very. My family is a very close family, and we're very close. So I guess every time that the family needs to physically separate. Yeah. I would say physically, because spiritually we are very connected and very close. But physically, I had to do it in order to work with Quincy. So it was a very difficult time for me. And also when because after comes that in 2009, after all of this process of thinking and trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life in order to work with Mr. Jones, I had to defect. I was playing with my father in Mexico.
Yeah. Before you tell that, because we definitely want to hear about that. But again, I want to deal with the process of your considering defecting. So is that something that you talk into very closed circles about, so that the authorities don't become aware of what you might be? How does what did you do? I mean,
just my family knew that I wanted to do something like that, and no one else.
Right.
It's not something that you go out and tell people, because it could be a big problem for you if you tell people what you're going to do sometimes. And unfortunately, it's that way, and I had to keep it secret. And
okay, so now tell us about you. You made the decision at some point, obviously in consultation with your family, that at some point you're going to defect. And when did that moment come?
Well, that came when I was playing with my dad in Mexico, in Mérida, Yucatan, and I told my dad and my mom that I was going to do it, because sometimes you said, I want to do this, I want to do that, but when the moment comes and you have to do it, that is the change. That is when everyone knows that you're doing it for sure. And I knew that I was gonna do it for sure. Maybe I didn't know maybe like when I was going to do it in my life, or because I have to say this also. I felt being in Cuba, we have had for so many years. This is a contradiction that we have had in Cuba, is that we have created a very powerful and unique culture because we've been all around Cubans for so many years. So we have to invent in order to keep going. And I guess that thing of that you have to invent in order to create and keep and keep living every day have made us very unique. And but the contradiction comes that we haven't had any transculturation or confrontation with different countries for so many years. I felt that I was in the need of that. I felt that I wanted to go to a different country and meet new culture, meet new people, what they have to offer to me. And
so you're in Mexico.
So I was in Mexico, and I told my dad and my mom that I was going to Defect.
This is the time.
This is the time. And I took, I didn't have any guidance or someone tell me what I have to do, right? So I took a plane from Mérida, Yucatan to Nuevo Laredo, Mexico. And I did it wrong because if you're a Cuban, you fly to the closest city in the border, you can be arrested. And that was why I got arrested there, and I was,
Now, when you went to Mexico, did you all play the gig? Did you play?
Yes,
okay, so you played the gig.
We played the gig. After we played the gig, I told my dad, now is the time. I'm just going.
So you're there, and you're departing, leaving your family. Your family is going back to Mexico. Okay. And so back to Cuba. So you go into another place closer to the border.
Yes.
Where you're at risk whenever you do that.
I didn't know that.
To be arrested, okay.
So, they interrogate me there interview me for so many hours and trying to see what I was going to do. And I told them straight, I'm just going to cross the border. I'm going to go to the United States because my dream is to play music and I just want to change in my life. And at first they didn't understand. They said, why is this kid telling me all of this, But they realized after 3 or 4 hours talking to me that I was completely decided what I wanted to do, and I wasn't doing anything wrong, and they understood, fortunately for me, and they actually put me in a cab and sent me to the border.
Now, was it, because I did a little research, was it at the border when you were detained and had to sleep on the floor, or was this when you were being interrogated?
Well, when I was detained, was at the airport. Once you come to the border, the situation is that you ask for political asylum as a Cuban. And yes, I slept in the floor and everything, but again, that I wasn't arrested at that moment. Well, I don't know if that is called arrested here in the United States. It's kind of, it's kind of,
So when you were held at the airport and they were questioning you, were you terribly frightened at that moment, or what were your feelings then?
I was kind of scared in a way that something was very different to me, and the most scary part was that I could be deported back to Cuba. And it was going to be even more difficult for me to go out to Cuba. That was the scary part. Everything else, I have to be honest, it was kind of like I was very positive. I'm a very positive person in general, and I told them, I am going to try to do this, and I'm going to risk as much as I can to do it.
It's not like I'm talking to you like you're an expert in this particular area, but I want to ask you about how you felt that if you had gone back to Cuba, deported back, which they would then have known that it was your attempt to be able to get away, do you think you would have been treated harshly?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know exactly what would have happened with me, because with every person is different. But what I know from baseball players that have done stuff like that is they sometimes they didn't want them to be any more part of their teams, or they made it very difficult for them to go out of the country, and some of them had to go through water, like Elian Gonzalez. And but I don't know, you know. And as you say, I have to be honest. I'm not kind of like an expert on what is going to happen all the time with this person or the other one. I just knew that it was going to be difficult because it was still difficult, you know, just not just to go out for everyone to go out to the country, but to share my music, and it was difficult,
Okay, so you finally, at what point was it when they said to you, you were going to be able to come into the U.S.? What
do you mean while I was at the border?
Yeah.
Well, I arrived there on the night of January 16, and they released me next day. In the morning, I remember, and at that day, I called Adam, you know, because I was in connection with Adam and with Quincy, and they said if I could make it to the United States, they were going to help me. So I called them and I told them I made it. I'm here in the United States now because I was now in Laredo, Texas. So they bought a ticket for me, and I was on a plane that day to Los Angeles. And
so you
very
land.
Different process too.
You land in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And did Adam meet you or someone else meet you?
Well, Adam, since
and the Adam, I want to tell my viewing audience, the Adam that we're talking about is truly Quincy Jones. I'll call it Quincy Jones's rock. He's your manager now.
Yeah.
But he is the person that really holds it down for Quincy and sort of handles and manages all that Quincy does.
Correct.
So he meets you at Los Angeles airport.
Yeah, I was very fortunate that he was kind of in my generation. He's in his 30s too, so it was very helpful that we were kind of, you know, rooting for the same. And he
of course, at this time you were speaking very little English.
Oh, none. It was very difficult, you know. They took a big risk, but I always, you know, I'm very thankful for him and his family. Since I came here to the United States, they were like my family. And
because you initially went and stayed with
yes,
where Adam was and slept on a couch for a good little period of time.
Yes, they call me the Harry Potter of their house because I used to sleep, you know, in their couch, and you know, it was a very interesting time in my life where I learned a lot also and grew up even, you know.
Did you ever have any thoughts that maybe I haven't made the right decision? Did you ever question that?
No. No. I knew what I was doing, and I knew that this was a good decision for my life. Yeah. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it, not, you know, like I was in the need of that kind of liberty that a country like the United States gives you also, and I'm very fortunate to be part of this country now.
Yeah. So you get now and you get to spend some time with the maestro, with Quincy Jones. Tell us about his influence on you and how it has helped you to advance.
So much. Quincy is someone that knows about everything, man. He has a lot of experience, and he has done a lot, and he not just, you know, I'm not talking just about music. I'm talking about every aspect of life, and he is a very humble person, where I learn and from him every day, about his way of connecting with people, his way of sharing who he is and where he's coming from, and the message of not just his music but his life in general. And I've been learning that. And also, the first thing that he told me was just to be myself and to, you know, to fight for who I am and my roots. And I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to be, learning from someone like him from this from very young age in my life, and I hope I can do the same with people and kids who are interested in listening to myself, and I would love to do that.
Throughout my life, I've been a lover of music, not necessarily that big of a fan of jazz. I'm a R&B guy kind of through and through. And I don't know if we can see this, your new album, Tocororo. First of all, where's the name Tocororo come from?
Oh, Tocororo is the national bird. We made a kaleidoscope with the bird. It's the national bird of Cuba, and as you can see, Cuba is very present in my music all the time.
Yeah.
But this album is also is very global in a way, because we include a lot of artists from many countries like France, Lebanon, India, Spain, Cameroon.
And so when you
Cuba.
when you set out to do this, was it your idea of sort of connecting Cuba to the rest of the world and connecting the rest of the world to Cuba? What were some of your motivations for this?
Well, yeah, definitely that is one of the ideas that I always want to share with my music and express with my music, is the desire of sharing who we are with the world and also learn from. It's the same like, I play what I live. So
you play what you live.
Yes. So basically, I am just creating this music because the way that I have lived my life, and this is the process that I've been living lately in my life since I came here to the United States. I've been meeting a lot of people. I've been learning from a lot of people from around the world, and this is why Tocororo sounds like a very global album, and not just about, again, I call my music music.
Yeah.
It's not just about Cuban music or classical jazz or world music. I just call it music. I create the sounds from the sounds that sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Right? What I was saying, if I listen to a bird singing, I will try to imitate that with music.
Yeah.
And some people will call it jazz, some people will call it classical, some people will call it whatever, or I call it music. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's
I remember a scene from a James Brown movie when somebody was asking him, was telling him, well, maybe you shouldn't play that. And he said, does it sound good? And the guy said, yeah. He said, well, I'm gonna play it. It sounds good to me. I'm going to play it.
That is what I try to do also.
You perform 2 nights from now at the University of Maryland, the Clarice Smith Center. When your audience comes in and they're in the seat, what is your hope as an artist that you're communicating to them? In a perfect world, how would they feel when they leave seeing one of your performances?
Well, as I said, my hope always will be that they get the message that I am being completely honest with myself. I am just being who I am, and I am sharing 100% of my life with them at that moment. I'm gonna give it all, and my hope is that they get that message, and we're going to experience feelings each other, because I also get energy and connected with the audience, since what we do is improvising. Improvising is about everything is around us. So the audience is very important, at least for me, to my music. And every time is different, as you can imagine. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting to go to different places and play music and see the reaction of people, which always is different because their culture, their education. And I'm just looking forward to share who I am and have a good time.
Let me ask you, have you had an experience where you have played and something happened during the performance or even something happened after the performance where someone has come up to you and expressed something about how they felt that like stands out in your memory?
Well, I have many different experiences. Some people come at you crying and saying that they felt for some reason some feelings that made them cry. It doesn't have necessarily to be about playing sad music or something like that. And some people come very excited and just it's great to see how human beings react to music. And for me, which I'm a performer, is really interesting to see that reaction from not just my music, our music I call it, because there are many people, at least in this, it's not a conversation with with myself would be if I play piano solo. But when I play with different musicians, which is what we're going to do on Friday, it's a conversation between ourselves.
Yeah.
And but again, I love how human beings react, and not just to my music. That is how I create also.
Some people perform, and they perform to make a living. They're good at what they do, and hey, I'm gonna go out here, man. I'm gonna work, and I'm gonna make a good living doing this.
Me too.
From all,
in a way.
Yeah. From all that I'm hearing from you, though, it's like you live to perform. You live to do this.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying, because maybe I didn't understood, but me too, because I just, again, it's like water for me, right? It's something that we need every day in order to keep living.
Yeah.
It's the same with music. If I didn't have music, I'm pretty sure that I would die of sadness. So it's kind of like the Tocororo. Tocororo is an animal that if cage dies, because it needs the liberty.
Yeah.
It needs to fly.
Yeah.
So it's the same with my music. My music, I feel that I need music.
Music feeds you. Music allows you to live.
For sure.
Yeah. Talk to me about what you envision for the future.
Learning as much as I can. Always have been my main goal. I'm always looking for meeting new people, learning from different experiences, and I know that in a way always is my brain translate all of those experiences into music, and I'm very looking forward to that. And also I'm very looking forward to to unite people and try to make a peaceful world. We are in the need of that also. We need to stop the war and make more love and flowers. We don't need more guns. We need flowers
and peace.
And peace. Yeah. And that is what I envision in my life. I am giving to people my best, which is creating music, and I hope with that is my part to trying to make a peaceful world. I guess that is the best I have in order to share with people and in order to keep the world as peaceful as I can.
So for your performance on Friday night at the University of Maryland, you're playing with a group of guys. Okay. And you're talking about improvising. Now, do you have a preference as to doing it that way, or are you more comfortable and would you rather play by yourself?
No, both are different, and I learn from the two different experiences. But I love playing with other musicians because I get their message as well. It's not just me. It's not just me talking. It's me talking with people and interacting. I like that a lot.
So you guys are having a conversation with your instruments are really
definitely. We just
having a
have
conversation.
we just have few messages that we want to say, and we have different songs that we like to play with and create around with. But basically yes, we're coming from different cultures. The drummer is from Puerto Rico and the bass player is from Bulgaria. Peter Slavov on bass and Henry Cole on drums. And I just feel very fortunate to be talking to them and making an energy and
a lot of kids who get into different, whether it's sports or music or whatever, somebody might say, I want to be like Willie Mays, the baseball player, Michael Jordan, the basketball player, Michael Jackson, considered to be one of the greatest performers. I want to be that way. Did you have any particular pianist that you looked up to as, someone who was inspiring to you?
Many, and not just pianists. But if we talk about pianists, I would say Johann Sebastian Bach, and I would say Thelonious Monk, which are very different in a way, but I love the way that they created music. And but again, I will talk also about people like Good Jeff or I would talk like Krishnamurti. And I don't.
You know what? Those two names you first gave me, Bach, Johann Christian Bach, and Thelonious Monk, very, very different. But if you could grab an element from Bach that made you just like really like him, and one from Thelonious Monk also, what would they be?
Just one element. I think it's everything. It's kind of difficult for me just to pick a little thing of them because it's about their personality, the way that they express themselves, and the way that they found a unique voice, just to express themselves and make something very powerful for the world of music. I guess it would be very difficult for me to pick something, just a little element from them. But yeah, I just feel the connection, what the message that they wanted to express.
When I started promoting that I was going to have you on the show, I got multiple inquiries as to your social status, whether you are an eligible bachelor or not. And I promised that I would ask that question.
Yeah, of course. Well, I have a girlfriend.
Okay. Okay. So all the rest of y'all, time out and take a break. Any plans to get married and have little Alfredos?
Well, yeah, maybe not Alfredos, but yeah, of course, I love kids, and I always learn a lot from them, and I would love to have some kids also to learn also from them. And yeah, I'm very interested about how they're very spontaneous, they're very natural, they are very honest, they are just them. They don't care too much about what is around, and I love that.
Alfredo, I say at the start of this show that I hope to inspire people with stories of extraordinary achievement. And when I became aware of your story through Adam Fell, I immediately got in touch with Adam because I thought that your journey is one that has been of great inspiration. And I wanted my audience to become exposed to you and aware of you. I really genuinely from my heart believe that you are a magnificent, wonderful ambassador. And I can't thank you enough for joining me today, man. We will follow your career very, very closely.
Thank you so much for this.
Folks, that wraps us for this evening. For more information on this program or any other program produced by WHUT, go to WHUT.org. And if you want to see Alfredo live, catch him at the Clarice Smith Performing Arts Center in College Park on Friday, April 1st. I'll leave you with some more of Alfredo's music from right here at the WHUT studios. Goodbye and God bless.
This program was produced by WHUT, Howard University Television, and made possible by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.